Welcome to the Embodiment Podcast. This is our season 3 and what everything has been working towards. We get to finally understand Jason's thesis or his model of everything. So, Jason, welcome. Welcome. I'm so happy we finally get to do this.
Yeah, me too. This has been a long time in the making. I'm going to do my best, you know, to get this out. Yeah.
No problem. So, you want to give us an overview?
Yeah. First, like the disclaimer, this is my thesis. I've been working on it for over 20 years, and it's the sum of everything I've learned from you, John, from my teacher, Jim, from going to India twice. This is a long time in the making. I've given it a lot of thought. And I'm always updating it. Like I updated it this weekend. And I love talking about it and getting feedback. So, but it's just really funny because I notice on this and other podcasts, people are just so ready to attack you and accuse you. And you know, I love feedback. Just ask questions. Ask us questions. We both would love to get into dialogue. Maybe you're going to teach us something. If something's wrong with my model, my thesis, I want that information really badly. So please, like, let's get there instead of like hating on us. That is sadly the culture, and I think we're trying to change that. Like, have dialogue and debate. So yeah, just to start off with, like, we might have talked about this. I know you told me like you love games. You raised your kids playing games and creating games, and I did too as a kid. And I loved video games, like loved them. I still do. This weekend I played a bunch of new games, and when I started getting deeper into the truth, actually through all the different scriptures, but especially Buddha's teaching, it's like, oh, we literally are in a video game. Like, that is the conclusion. You can call it like a school of life, but the world is not how it seems. It's far better than we could imagine, and it's based on justice, and it's amazing what's possible. So, so basically, you could look at life as that. Everything we're going to talk about today comes down to a choice that we make every single moment to be authentic or inauthentic. And let me define that, because that means different things on different levels. I'm talking about on an existential level, responding to what is happening in the present moment. And remember, we talked about impermanence in season 2, which is such an important concept of everything is moment, moment, moment. And we have a conscious mind that is there in the moment. But it's easy to miss because it happens so fast. So like watching a movie, you don't see the individual frames. But that's what we're here to train ourselves in doing. So, so if we respond authentically, we will have the information of what to do in the moment. We'll respond appropriately, skillfully, like flow state. Whereas if we don't respond to the moment, if we get lost, we wind up getting in our head and getting out of the moment. And now we're not responding, we're reacting, which we'll talk about. So in addition to that flow, we also talked about our motivation, which is important, because you could be in flow and be a terrible person, right? I mean, can
Right.
you? I guess you could, right? Like,
Right.
it's harder. But the other part of this authenticity is the ultimate motivation, which we talked about in episode 8 of season 2, bodhicitta. We can call the altruistic mind, the ultimate intention. It's praised. Every Buddha, you could say Jesus was a master of bodhicitta, and that just means that you're not negating yourself and you're not negating others. You are taking care of yourself in relation to the whole system, which in Buddhism we call all beings. So if you're in flow and you're in that state of like, I want to bring not just my life up and not just other people's up, but let's bring it up together. That's the most authentic state. So yeah, so like I said, you could direct yourself outward, inward, or the bodhicitta. And again, I'll say this again and again. My favorite metaphor is the body and the cells. It's mentioned in the Bible, mentioned in Buddhist teaching, that we seem to be separate, But on the level of our cells, they might think they're separate. Like they see the food, they go grab the food, they run away. But their actions are part of this whole called our body. Trillions of cells operating, splitting, doing countless things all the time. So that's a great metaphor for this authentic living. And something we're going to talk about a lot is we exist on four levels. Like we talked about in season 1, we had my 4 teachers. So this 4-level: physical, emotional, energetic, and intellectual. We'll get into much more detail in the future. But we are not just operating on one level. You could almost say that we're 4 people at once. So we are these 4 people, and we are constantly giving and receiving of these 4 levels. For example, like you do a job for me, I pay you money. That's one level of exchange. That's the physical level. But then there's an emotional level where I hold space for you, you hold space for me. I feel so much better that you heard me. So that was an exchange on an emotional level. So this is like a summary. Our job, if you want to call it that, like our optimal state is to respond on all 4 of these levels in each moment to others in the deepest sense on these 4 levels. And in ourselves. So we're checking in ourselves on the 4 levels. It's like an inner and outer process, which again, we'll talk about in the future. Inauthentic means we react to emotional triggers, which takes us out of the moment, puts us into prejudice, patterns, and stories, destructive stories. And this is how we get lost in the matrix, not living in reality, but living in the fantasies of our own making. Right? So, and we all know that, like when we're triggered, angry, that's the worst time to make a decision, because then you look back and you have a choice. When you look back, you could justify it, which makes you more of a mess, or you could have some regret. But the trick is, better and better stay authentic, and you'll have less to regret. So again, I love this concept of flowing for the benefit of all beings. So we're doing everything we can to be present, but we're doing it not just so we can enjoy the pleasure of being in flow state, because it is a pleasurable state, but we're doing it to bring pleasure to others, and not just pleasure, optimal living, the optimal level of life. So we're talking about like a big thing, so responding allows us to keep leveling up instead of getting trapped in the game, in the matrix, which we'll talk about. That was like a basic summary. So
Excellent.
So how do we get trapped? So the mind doesn't see impermanence and emptiness. We talked about that, but just to remind you, it doesn't see time. So for example, when someone sees a car they've had for 10 years, it's the same car to them. Even though the car has changed every single moment, it's changed so much. And there's that joke, like if you change all the parts on the car, you change the engine, at what point is it the same car, right? So, and it's the same thing with us. We look at ourselves, and we see the same. Over 50 years, we see the same. We feel like we're the same. Our bodies change, our beliefs have changed, everything's changed about us. But there is something that does feel the same, and there is something that is the same. But the problem is we don't distinguish that. We take all of the labels and the things, and we see them as the same thing. So that's what we mean by not seeing impermanence. Is and that makes you again unable to respond, because you're living through your prejudices, through the mind's fantasies, as opposed to seeing this impermanence. But that's why our mind, our conceptual minds, is like the biggest curse and the biggest blessing. So on the one hand, it's a curse, right? Where how much of a problem is stress? It's like the biggest thing. So on the one hand, our conceptual mind, our thinking mind, takes us out of flow. It literally puts us in the prefrontal cortex, which is the definition of being out of flow. Whereas think about an animal. An animal, it can't conceive of paying rent or regretting something they said to their mother-in-law. The animal can't can't conceive like that. It's very present. So again, so like our human mind is like a big ball of yarn, our conceptual mind, and we pile layers and layers of concepts about ourselves and others, the world, and everything. We label everything. So the human mind has a process of identifying. We identify ourselves with this group, and then that automatically means there's that group. And this process of identifying all these different things is actually what keeps us trapped. That's the secret of the Buddha's teaching. That's the secret of getting out of the matrix, is that it's this mind that creates identity and gives more meaning to things than they're there. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I think you're summarizing several of the episodes in season 2 really well here.
Mm,
Rather than, I mean, if people really want to get in and argue with you about everything you've just said so far, there's probably 4 episodes they'd have to watch the whole thing to really see. But I think you're doing a really good job of summarizing all of this. That when we make these impermanent things permanent in our brain, the
yeah.
result is it traps us.
Exactly. And it's perfect, because what I want to say about that is it's a process. So Freud, most
Right.
people think of the ego as a noun, like, oh, my ego, that's his ego. It's a process. Every moment we are technically egoing or identifying. It's like we create the identity and then we forget that we created the identity about that thing. So we're really like, every time we're fighting with somebody, we're fighting with our own minds all the time. It's a big mess. So to Buddha, ego is a verb. It's an action of the mind.
Nice.
So, but here's the beautiful thing: like that same mind that that allows us to get so stressed out and causes all these problems, it's actually the way out. It's actually a blessing, because that mind, if trained properly to see impermanence, to see emptiness, now it can really free you. It can give you a view that an animal cannot have, that a person just flowing can have. This takes training, so to speak. So, but here's the best part: is that we love talking about, that not only does the mind allow you to see that you're in the matrix and free yourself from the matrix, but it actually allows you to make the matrix your friend. So it's not something, when I say the word matrix, a lot of people, or simulation, it's a triggering word. This is actually the greatest thing, is that is that there is the matrix. And here's the thing: when you unravel this ball of yarn, all our ideas about ourself, and we peel away layer after layer after layer, there's a final knot, the final boss in the game. And that boss is this very, very subtle feeling, thought. It's even beyond thought and feeling, because it's almost like just this deep sense that we are inside here, that I'm in here, and everything else is out there. And that rigid thought is where everything gets piled on, where it becomes this world where I need to use others, and others are trying to use me. And if you really think about it, altruism can exist on that level. And I meet a lot of people who don't believe in altruism. They think everything, and yeah. But when you finally get rid of that last knot, right, is the whole world going to disappear? Because when I thought that was going to happen, like, I was afraid of emptiness at first, actually, for a long time. I was having panic attacks when I first was going towards it, because I'm like, I'm going to disappear. Like, when I realize that I don't exist, like, I'm going to disappear. So, and I think that fear is what really holds everyone in. There's like this deep fear, but
That fear keeps everybody trapped.
exactly.
Like, I'm better off being trapped than being nothingness.
Exactly. Where it's exactly the opposite. It's actually like every metaphor you could imagine: finding yourself, liberation. All of those metaphors actually apply to getting rid of this process. Again, nothing really changes. It's like there's actually a joke. Like whenever someone becomes a Buddha, they laugh because it's like, oh, like I was here all along. It was just this process I kept doing that was getting me in there. So no, everything is still there, and everyone, all the people out there, is still there. In fact, that's what you realize. The only thing that's real is the relationships.
Mhm.
Everything is relational. So so that just goes to show, to live authentically is not to become like, I can do everything on my own. I can go off. I don't need anybody. It's exactly the opposite. It's to fully embrace that relationability, that of life on the most fundamental levels, and that again is the greatest news. So now, instead of being me and you, it's just this. There is this. There we'll get more into this in the future too. But like there is a knowing in the moment. There is that, but it's so subtle. And again, metaphorically in the body, it's like instead of living in the prefrontal cortex, you're living in the whole brain, or like the whole body, including the whole nervous system. It's just that there's not this extra not that's saying me, you, self, other. They're trying to hurt me. That goes away, and it just becomes, again, like the cells in the body. Something is keeping them communicative, and we haven't found it with science yet. And that's between us.
I think that introduction and that explanation um, was so good because you hit all the parts of the model, but people don't know the model yet. So I think as they learn the model, they probably should come back and listen to that whole opening because you kind of hit everything. So how'd you create this model?
Okay, yes, the model. Yeah, we were talking about that, like just a little
Oh,
preview. There's the
there you
there's
go.
there's the replica, the current replica of the model. And we I've been working on this obviously for a long time. It is very influenced by what's called Dzogchen, which is like the highest Buddhist teachings. Um, and also this guy Herbert Gunther, who is this German translator who basically taught himself a Sanskrit, Pali, Chinese when he was 12 years old. Like he could have done anything, but he dedicated his life to really going to India. This is before the internet. It's like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and just he really showed me to think in terms of number, and we're going to get into the details of the model, but it's it's not, again, it's not like it doesn't require it's based on logic. It's based on number. I mentioned like my father is a math teacher, so but math, I always loved math, but it always seemed very dry. I always kind of sensed there was more to it. So the idea of this model is that one is there's like a oneness. It's an archetype. Two is a two-ness. Three is a threeness. And you could say this is how God created everything. How you go from a one to everything without ever losing anything in the one. In our world, you take money out of the bank, now you have less money, right? I have a certain amount of energy, it gets used up. But in reality, from the point of view of the one, like the source, it never runs dry. That's only in our world with the prejudices where we see this limitation and we create this whole world based on limitation. But it's not a mistake. It serves a purpose. But so yeah, you and I were in a Starbucks in Miami, and I was like, oh, I got this model that I don't know, you might find, and I just sketched it out. And
Well, we were planning season one at the time,
okay,
and we
right,
were
right.
talking about all that, and we had like what 2-3 hours, and we kind of got through that. Season one kind of wrote itself in a sense because it was your story. It was pretty
Mhm.
straightforward. And then you said, "Hey, you mind if I share this model? I have this model." And as you shared it, I was like, "Have you ever written it out? Like, let's write it out. Start over again. Let's write it out." And it's amazing because it incorporates everything everyone talks about.
Mhm.
However, it's so efficient. What I loved about it when I heard it was that it's the numbers 1 to 10, and everything everybody talks about fits under one of those numbers. And during season 2, you and I started really understanding it. You really started explaining it to me more and more that you and I started just talking in numbers. So rather than having this intense conversation that might be, 100 words, it's like one sentence and we knew what each other was thinking and talking about. So that's where I'm like, I've seen a lot of models of everything. I've never seen one so efficient and so easy to quickly masters. The way I'm going to say this is if the audience understands each number, the interaction between the numbers is going to make them smarter so much quicker. So that's really what impressed me, was how efficient your explanation is. I've written Modeling God's Wills. There are two books like this, and you basically can explain all of this, once you understand the numbers, basically in like 50 words or less. So that's what amazed me. I'm like, wow, everything's so efficient. So today, let's begin by covering the 8. So Jason, in your model from 1 to 10, what is the 8?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say, yes, it is. And again, that model is possible because of all the geniuses I was able to receive, and it's just putting it together. And what was I going to say? And as far as your books go, no, I highly recommend everybody read the books, because the model does explain it, but the books I read all the time, because it's just gives you, it's a simple way of understanding things. Like when we talk about the four elements, every all phenomena, everything you see can be explained by the four elements, and we have all these English words to explain things. So it's just different ways to speak about things. So
Yeah,
yeah.
except I just think yours is more efficient. I think
Well,
it I think it takes less explanation the way you do it. So I'm excited. I've been excited since season 1 to get to this place where people can understand it. So
me too. Thank you so much for. I mean, I couldn't have gotten here without all your help. Like this is just like this is like a dream come true. Like talking about this model I've been wanting to for so long, and I mean, through our conversations, like that's talking about how everything is flow and authentic. You know, the air element, like just having these dialogues helps me understand myself. That's why everything you want, money, the love, you actually get it through the relationships. And that's really the most
right,
important message today.
nice.
But so to summarize, like this is the 8, this is 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to get into that. But the point is, all of that is happening. Everything's happening simultaneously. But these numbers below 8 are what you can call the unconscious in a way. It's like happening, like in the mind. Let's say in the mind. It's happening in the mind. And so basically, the 8 is four elements: physical, emotional, energetic, and intellectual, times 2, meaning giving and receiving. So that's what the 8 means. Like this matrix we're in is a world where we are giving and receiving on 4 levels, and that's what you can say life is. And the problem is we get people get lost in the 8 instead of going to the 9, which is is authentic. When you're living authentically, you're basically completing this circuit into the 9. When you don't live authentically, you are literally going around the hamster wheel we talked about. You're literally going in this wheel over and over again, and not allowing it to flow through you.
Exactly. So that 8 is the matrix that we live in. It could be samsara, the
Mm-hmm.
hamster wheel, or it could lead to bliss.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it
Yes,
is
the
where
9
we're
is
born
bliss.
into, and we're here. So go ahead and explain the 8 now to
Yes,
us.
thank you. Okay, so yeah, this is a great teaching. So before the movie The Matrix, 2,500 years before the movie The Matrix, the Buddha was explaining just how strange the nature of the world of experience. We call it the world of phenomena. Phenomena just means things, different things. So he used 8 famous metaphors to explain this.
8 for 8, huh?
Yes,
I love this. Wow. 8 metaphors for the 8.
yes, yes. So
You just can't make this up.
So the first one is called the mirage. So you're in the desert, you're craving water, and you look at the sand in the distance. And I've seen it; like it actually looks like water. If you're
Mhm.
driving up on even in the dark, where there's no lighting outside, and you go over a hill, you'll see like it almost looks like water. So this is a metaphor again, we talked about this in the emptiness part. So this is just like fun metaphors that go with that. So again, we look at the world outside of us, we see trees and cars and all these things, and they seem to be an accurate depiction of what's out there. But they're like that mirage. There is something, you are seeing something. There is an experience of seeing, but most of what you're seeing is completely constructed by your mind, by your brain. So again, when you peel, it's all about that yarn. When you get rid of that yarn, the mirage is gone, and you could actually see what's actually there. So again, it's just going to show all of this is not to get you. People get angry when you tell them that they're not seeing the world correctly.
Right.
They get very angry about
Right.
this, and it's really just saying like you're going to be able to see it better, and that's a good thing, So don't be scared. And there is a positive part also. So this is what you could call the negative aspect, where you're negating what isn't there. But when we talk later, a little bit later, we're going to talk about what is there and how to affirm that. So this was about negating. There is an affirmation aspect. So the second one is the dream. And this is like probably the most famous one. So you go to sleep at night, you have a dream. In the dream, you're a character. You're interacting with other characters. You're in a world. You're feeling things. You're tasting things. But yet, one mind, one human brain, theoretically, is creating that whole thing. So we already know our mind is capable of doing miraculous things, to the point where we could actually talk to another person and not even know it's our own mind. So again, just going to show how powerful our mind is and how much we can deceive ourselves. Reflection in the mirror. So this one's very philosophical. You look in the mirror and you say, does Jason's face exist in the mirror? Well, is my face actually in the mirror? No, but I can't say it doesn't exist. So it doesn't exist, but it does exist, but it doesn't exist. So that's kind of how these paradoxical ways of seeing reality is not comfortable at first. But I can tell you from someone who's studied this for 20 years, it really does free you up when you start to see it. Because again, remember, we're trying to make the matrix our friend and discover all the magic. So if you're not into anything, if you're not trying to find your higher purpose, you've already tuned out of this episode. So if you're still listening, you're either a Christian, you're a Buddhist, you're seeking something, So we're just trying to get to that thing and stop worrying about, like how much is your own mind keeping you from happiness, from flow. So the next thing is a rainbow. A rainbow is beautiful. And it appears, again, does it exist? Of course it exists, but but at the same time, we know it's just your brain. It's just like, the refraction of light that we're perceiving as the rainbow. So it's there. It's there. And also you could say there's a Buddhist metaphor, everything is a rainbow, because if you think about it, we know that 99.99999% of everything we can touch, taste, smell is actually empty space. You know that, right? The distance
Right.
between.
So and we covered that, but everything is a rainbow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand that one. I
Meaning it
like that. It
appears
sounds good, but
it appears vividly. It appears, but yet it's
ah,
insubstantial. It appears, but
like a
without.
rainbow. It's something that's eye-catching, it's very vivid, but there's
Yes.
nothing there.
And that's the matrix. That's the
Nice.
eight. That's what
Nice.
the eight is. That's what they say. It's full of bright lights. Everybody wants that dopamine. They're going through the phone. So it's very alluring that nobody wants to stop and think, is this real? Like,
They should have used that in the Matrix. I mean, so far the first three, are kind of used in the Matrix, the movie, but that's a really cool analogy when you think about it, because it is definitely eye-catching, but
mm-hmm,
we all know it's not real.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wow.
no, they're going to make our own movie, but we'll see. They're making Matrix 5, but we'll see. So the next one, number 5, is a bubble on water. So again, like compared to like the ocean, just this little bubble. Our whole life, you could say, is like a bubble. All the things we worry about, all of these things are just momentary. It's
Okay.
just, but again, our true self is way beyond this matrix. That's what the whole model is about. But just
So
showing that just this one is just to show that everything we're caught up in is so fleeting.
Okay,
So
temporary.
just
Got
to
it.
kind of relax, temporary. Yeah.
Got it.
Number 6 is awesome, the banana tree. So, you know, if you look at a banana tree, it's got many, many layers, layers, layers. But at the very center, it's hollow, the banana tree. So just like that yarn, we have many, many, many layers. We have the physical, the emotional, we have all these layers. And then on top of that, we put all of these concepts about it. And, you know, when we peel them all away,
There's
the
nothing tangible there.
there's exactly there's not everything. I should say everything we thought was going to be at the center was not there.
It's not
This
there.
this solid. See, that's really what it is. Everybody is looking like there's kind of a Buddhist joke. It's like Buddhists don't say that nothing is real. We just say that things are not really real.
Right.
But that extra really is like this thing where it's like this is the world, you know. But again, where is it? It's already changed. It's the next moment. And again, we know everything is 90. Oh, I was saying everything is 99.9% empty. This is physics. This is, you know, like this is like the distance between the center of a nucleus, the proton, neutron, and the electron, they say is bigger than the distance between the Earth and the sun.
Right. And the thing is as I would recommend people if they want to argue this point,
Mm-hmm.
to go to the emptiness episode. I thought you did an amazing job on there explaining it's not about that everything is nothing. It's
Right.
about removing
Yes.
the things that are nothing. I thought was really well done. And it was one of the mistakes I made about Buddhism, thinking,
Yeah.
oh, emptiness is this. It's like, so
Yeah.
that was a really great episode,
Thank
season
you.
2, to
Everyone
explain
uses
that.
that as an excuse to be like, oh, nothing matters. It's all empty. Do whatever you want. So
Yeah.
the 7th is a magic show. So they had magicians back in India, even way greater than like, you know, Copperfield. But just imagine a magic show, like the guy's pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Everybody experiences the rabbit out of the hat, but we know it's not really what happened. Like there's a trick to it. It's another metaphor for the Matrix. There's like it appears to be running a certain way. Everybody agrees. 99% of people don't train themselves to see emptiness, you know? So they're you know, they're seeing they're confusing reality. Again, it's all the brain. It's all the brain. You're confusing the images your brain is creating for the real thing.
The
That's what.
thing is that this is 7 so far,
Yeah.
okay? And I really thought these were going to be 8 analogies that are all the same analogy. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm now seeing why we need all of these, because the matrix is complicated and
Yes.
it is the 8. So it would take 8 analogies. But I want to stop on this one for a second, because this is making a point that you made in your opening, which is this is really about the interaction.
Mm.
The 8 is about the interaction. And our friend Ed Mabry, when he talks about magic, he says magic requires an audience.
Mm.
So if you're a magician and you are in an empty room and you do a magic trick, it's not magic. In order for it to be magic, somebody observing it has to think it's something else. So this one, yes, it's an illusion, and you know the rainbow covered the illusion thing, but this one I think speaks to the point you made in the opening, whereas there is this interaction. The matrix depends on this interaction, and there is no magic if there's no interaction.
I love that. I'm definitely going to note that, and it's so true because it also shows like people who are fixed in the matrix. That's like this is the biggest conspiracy right here, because everything in the matrix is trying to keep you in the matrix. When I say the matrix, it's like your own ego. It's like, so if I have an ego and I'm invested in the matrix, I want to be around other people who are invested in it, and we could argue. But you bring this up to the wrong people, like to the wrong way, like you will be hated because you know what do you mean? Like my all of my life's work was empty, you know, like that. This is you know like so it's but again it's so liberating. But you're right, it does. And likewise, I was going to say, if you this is the importance of relationship. If you interact with people who are aware of this, and that's why monks would live together, and the high lamas, the high monks, or non-monks would go on retreat together, and they would treat each other like we're in a matrix, like, and they would interact in this way for like years at a time in order to really encourage each other. So thank you for sharing that. That was
Yeah, no problem.
really
The eighth one, the eighth and
the eighth
final
one
one.
is an echo. So, again, we hear the sound. It's kind of like the mirror image. We hear the sound, but that's not where the sound came from. The sound came from somewhere else. So
Oh,
again, another so you could say like this
the
gets into like
origin. This is like an origin
this gets into like
analogy.
the seven. The seven, which we'll talk about in the future, is or like everything below the eight is actually projecting the eight. The eight is just the
Yeah.
screen that it's being projected on. So what we're seeing on the screen is like the echo of the real thing, and it's just information. It's just giving us information. But if you understand this, and this is something that Gunther talks about. He calls it meaning saturated, meaning that like if you understand this whole thing, now every single thing that appears to you has so much meaning. Everything is a sign. Everything is prophecy. When you understand emptiness, you're actually, because then everything is coming from the truth, from the source. Which this is getting too deep, but
But eight different ways. I mean, I love what you did with this is with these eight analogies is you showed how everything is coming at you eight different ways because none of those analogies are that
Mhm,
they have overlap. You know, the
mhm,
echo and the mirror have an overlap, but they're two different things here because this is this this that from the it's distracting you from the source type of thing.
mhm.
Whereas in the mirror,
Right.
the source is here, but it's looking really real and stuff. So I love this. It's like eight
Again, I've never heard
definite
anyone
analogies.
2,500 years. I've read it all. No one's explained it that way. So that's really, I love you. I love your insight. That's so true. It's
Yeah,
we see it as different metaphors to explain this one concept, but you're like, these are eight different traps.
we need them all.
Yeah.
We need
So
all of them.
so just to sum that up, everything we experience is empty of a fixed, independent existence, and arises through dependent conditions. So that dependent conditions is coming from the 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Like, it's not coming from itself. So we think
Okay,
that
wait. Say that again.
so the Buddha said everything we experience is empty of a fixed, independent existence, as opposed to a dependent or
Okay.
interdependent existence, and
Yeah.
arises through dependent conditions.
Okay.
In modern language, your entire world is like a rendered simulation. Not because there is a literal computer, which when I say simulation, I really have learned so much how important it is to say things, not just true, but how people are going to interpret them. Because when I say
Right.
simulation, it just means, or matrix, it just means that, again, this is appearance. It's not it's pointing to the real thing, but it's not the real thing. But people take
Now,
that the
see,
wrong way.
that was being poetic.
Yeah.
What you just I was trying to get there. You got there. Is again, you're so efficient this way. Um, that's everything the Buddha just said, but I would say it's very poetic.
Hmm.
Okay, so yeah, that was it.
So yeah, so yeah, we're not in a literal computer, because what you see, hear, feel, and think is generated inside your brain. Your nervous system is constantly predicting, editing, and creating your reality. And even your sense of self is a constructed model. That's what's cool too. People like, oh, myself. When you understand, I shouldn't say get rid of it. That's I just slipped. We're not getting rid of the ego. We're actually taking, when you realize that identity part of your mind exists, you can recreate yourself. So you don't have to be, like I always make this joke, I'm a Pisces, so I'm a water sign. You could say I'm all for them. You can, so your idea of a self is part of like this. It's a yarn, it's a web. It's a mess where we create a sense of self, which creates a sense of other, and now all these values about the other, and now like belief systems and all these things come from that. But it really comes
And
down
that's
to,
personality testing.
yeah,
That's literally
exactly.
what personality
Totally.
testing is. It's trying to assess what we've created, and that's why 50% of people who test out as a certain personality change their personality in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Exactly.
isn't the permanent part of them; it's the impermanent thing that they're manifesting and changing and adjusting and everything else. So yeah,
I think that's our
this is
biggest
great.
message, like that sets us apart from most people, is that we're talking about what's causing the personality. We're
And it's real. What's
real,
causing
yes.
it is real. That's why I like what you're saying here is this: what you're seeing isn't permanent,
Hmm.
but it's an effect of the
Yes,
permanent.
and it's
And
always
so this
pointing
is
back.
not random, but
Yeah,
it's really a conjunctive situation where what I'm looking at is not in and of itself important, but it ought to point me back to what's important.
exactly. And not only that, it's like I said, things have meaning. Like it's fractal. Like the universe is you could say God is giving us everything. This We're all getting a different message at the same time through our matrix, through our headsets, through our experience. And if we understand, and I'm not saying I'm in this state all the time, like Jim, I think is, but the more you could see every moment as a symbol, as a sign, as a teaching, even when it's painful. And that's where it becomes a big test. Like when you have something that's challenging. But but yeah. So getting back though, the Buddha taught. I'm summarizing. What we call the world is the mind interpreting patterns of sensation, memory, and language, not the thing in itself.
We just said that, yeah.
But Buddha also
Perfect.
emphasized emptiness is not nihilism. Nothing is fixed does not mean nothing matters.
There it is. We just
Yep.
said that too. Yeah, nice.
So because the world is like code, your actions, karma, or I think I said that it change. The simulation changes, right? So yeah. So this I'm really excited to share. I came up with 8 modern metaphors. So there's the 8 classic, and now there's these 8 ones that apply to this new world. We are at the frontier of the AI reality. There's no
Okay.
denying it. So I'm
Okay.
so this is like, so you ready? Take a sip, yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, I'm gonna need a yeah, so let's do it.
I don't know
This
how
is
much. I know you
exciting.
said you played some games with your son, but have you ever played the game Grand Theft Auto? Have you
I have watched people play it.
Okay, so you understand that it's a game where you play a character and you can basically do
This
whatever
is
you
that
want.
flowing destructively, if you think about it.
Exactly. You could be destructive, or you could be a good guy. You could be a bad guy. So again, the movie The Avatar, where it's this idea that because Elon Musk says that we're getting to the point where you're going to be able to put on headsets and put your brain into this thing, and it's going to be indistinguishable from reality. So the probability that hasn't already happened is like 1 in a gazillion. So it means we already are in one, and we just keep building. So he totally is not getting that there is a ground level, and it's not physical. It's not like he can't get himself out. Like when people say like, "Oh, we came from aliens," it's like, well, where did the aliens come from? It's like they think they just want to like push it down the road instead of just getting to the obvious truth. But so anyway, yeah. So just a metaphor, that we we have our headset. Our VR headset is the brain. Every animal, we all like, we look at like a table. A cat sees it something to jump on and get. We see it something to sit down and eat at. So we're, our world is being the world of the 8 is being rendered.
Hmm.
So number 2, yeah, I need a little bit more practice with these, but yeah. So basically, a neural network updating itself. So everything we can experience, all experience cannot be the real thing because it's changing. Whereas the computer that's again, metaphor. This, I'm not saying we're in a computer. Um, the computer that's interpreting the code has to be, in this metaphor, the real thing. Us, our soul, is the thing that is experiencing it. So that's but the thing is, yeah. So there's no the code. The computer is interpreting the code. The code's always changing, uh, and it continually updates, and the system can improve, but it's not the system. The code is not the thing. The phenomenon we see. All right, they're going to get
Right. So
better.
the code is not the thing, it's not permanent. The
Yes,
thing interpreting it is permanent.
exactly,
But that means that the code is subject to change.
exactly.
So yeah.
And everything we see is kind of just code. And if you think about it, like on the Nephilim Death Squad, they asked me, like, do the Buddhists train and not feel like being able to go beyond pain? And the answer is like yes, because if you the more you understand this as a matrix, when anything happening to your body, anything you experience, if you could say this is just matrix, it really does help you. And that's why Buddha said this understanding of emptiness is it's good to work on discipline and ethics, but if you can get to emptiness, all that's going to fall away, because
Right.
then 99% of what we get angry about is other people doing things to us. But you just see it as information. You don't see it as anyone really hurting you. It's just information. So going back to like the video game, right? Like you play the game. Um, yeah, okay, actually, like in a movie, okay, for example, you watch a movie, you play a game. The characters. This is the characters, right? People can get very attached to a movie, the characters, to the point for 2 hours they feel like they're the character, they cry, but you never take it as seriously as if someone really dies in real life, right? So again, if we see this everything as like the person might be gone from your video game, but their soul is still there, kind of thing. So it's kind of
Yeah, the thing is that the movie analogy is really a cool one
yeah.
in a lot of ways. And when we watch a movie, if we don't understand something right away, we're okay with it
Mm-hmm.
because we
Mm.
trust that it's going to explain itself. And in the same way, we probably should be that way with life instead of going, I'm not doing anything until I understand every single thing. Like if you watch the movie the way some people run their life, it's part of the reason why they're having mental and emotional issues. So I like the movie analogy here is that we're watching people do things and we know they're just frames. But the thing is we know that is an actor doing that.
Mhm.
That's not that real person. We might even like that real person, but we've seen that same person play a different character over here and play a different character over there.
Yeah.
And so this is a really cool
And you know what?
modern
Like
analogy.
you just hit on something which is one of my favorite things. This is like one of my favorite things. And it's funny how you came at it from a movie and I always come at it from video games. It's like in a video game, except for the old ones, there were some really cruel video games, but like every video game can be solved. If it couldn't be solved, it doesn't make sense. So there's a right way to do it. You get better at the game and you beat the game. And there is that sense. So whenever I'm in a video game, so this really informed how I think and everything. Like when I'm playing a game, there's sometimes when it's like, I've tried everything. I cannot solve this puzzle. I don't know how to go to the next part. I know it's not the game, it's me. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's there to be found. It's just I have to keep doing it. And that's what I do in my real life. Whenever everything feels completely stuck, I say to myself, this is a game. There is the best thing to do in this situation, and it is solvable. And that only can happen because of the 1 through 7.
Right.
If you live in a world of like the 1 through 7, which we'll talk about, eliminates the possibility of randomness. And it's the reason why, like, we're only talking about the 8 and the 9, but which is really the crux of the human situation. But in order
Right.
to master that, you need to understand all of it, not fully. You could, and you start wherever you are. Like, and that's the thing about this game. Even my own journey. Like, I started off like atheist, and then like really into science, evolutionary theory. I looked down on anybody who believed in anything outside of the 8, basically. And then my journey took me to so many different places, and then I would get a a new understanding, and it would take me there. So yeah, It's
Yeah, well, I think the video game analogy really serves you there because you lived your life in a way that you're always like, I'm going to level up.
yeah,
There's
exactly.
levels to this, and I'm going to level up. Versus other people look at it and go, it's a game. What is it? Doesn't matter, and then they don't level up.
You know, like when I was every year for my birthday since I was like 10 years old, when I would blow out the candles and make a wish, I always say I want to level up.
There it is.
Literally, it's been my mantra, my wish. So number four, ready? This is where it gets fun. This is called procedural generation. So there's this game that came out called No Man's Sky. It came out like maybe 5, 10 years ago. And how it works is it's an infinite game. So you're in space and you fly to different galaxies and planets. And the game randomly makes wherever you go, it'll just keep making galaxies based on random, algorithms.
Okay.
So so everything will have different plants and different things, and everything is just algorithm. Everything is so you know what I mean. So this is where we're going to get really trippy in the future. Is that this world, like, it renders wherever you look. Seek it. So
Okay.
in the game, like not just there, but think about any game. You go into the dungeon and you fight the dragons. You didn't actually go anywhere. It's just the code is rendering that you're going there, right? So it's the same idea that, like, this is where it gets really trippy. It applies to science. Why we're so confused in the world. I watch debates all day long. It's like my favorite thing: political debates, science debates, and I notice that nobody ever comes to they can never see each other because what you believe is going to produce evidence. We create this is like this was for an intellectual person. This is like kryptonite because it means, like, I have all this research. It's got to be true. There is truth. We'll get to that. Um, but but it's just that we are kind of rendering, like, when, like, seek and thee shall find, right? And we all, again, all these things, like, people hearing this, some people will react very harshly to it, but there is inside of us a knowing that this might be true. That, that's why
Right.
the Matrix
I
is so
really
popular.
like this one, knowing the model. I really like this one, but you're right. This is, you called it trippy. This is a higher order thing. I think we'll
Right.
get into that probably towards the end of the season. So
Yeah, so I'll
excellent
keep going.
analogy. Thank you.
But yeah, so a deep fake. So this is something. This is like a public service announcement. This has to be on everyone's radar. From this moment on, everything you see on the internet, it could be fake.
So
This,
this is a bigger version of that No Man's Sky. Was that what it was called? No
yeah, no,
Man's
no,
Sky.
no, man,
So
God, yeah,
this, I like. Yeah, this is this. There's overlap here with the previous one. This is like the Buddha's eight. So now we've got it. Now we render everything, which was number four in a
yeah,
sense. Number five is other people. It's that other people. So
right. Good
other
way to put it.
people are rendering.
Good way to put it.
Wow.
Yeah, like, so I've seen like Tupac and Mr. Rogers rapping together. So be very careful for people. Like, don't, like, because it's already, the news is so fabricated. And I told you I worked for NHK. I worked for a Japanese news agency. And in the short time I worked there, we would take like voice from one place, put it over like sounds. So like the news is curated, so just be careful with that. Number six, the glitches in the Matrix. Remember, Matrix sees the black cat twice, which is a
Mhm.
sign. So we all have these strange things. ESP, right? Synchronicities. That's my synchronicities. Everybody experience that. You're thinking of someone, they call, or just like, you learn a new word and then you see it. So there is something strange going on. Anything.
So this one would say that this is proving that this is just an effect. There's something more real that's happening that's above and beyond this that this just being in the eight can't explain. We need to have a 1 to 7 explain it.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's just the complexity of everything. Like, this is a very, it's a serious, like, think about it. Everybody's walking around. Nobody knows how they got here, where they're going. No one knows. And like, that's how crazy this Matrix is. It's very, very intelligent, intelligent design, you could say. All right,
Yeah.
number seven, cloud computing. So we think people have this intuition, their memories stored in their brain, but it's actually not true. It's really a cloud. Our things are coming on. Our things are not coming from within our body.
Okay.
They're what's the word I'm looking for? Like decentralized. Oh, that's another metaphor. Blockchain. I have to work on this. But including ourself, we think ourself is here,
Right.
but it's actually it's kind of like the rainbow. All right, this is my favorite. This is like this one. I'm so excited. So when you're on the phone, and the phone, you start searching for things, and it starts showing you advertisements for the very thing you're searching for,
Okay. Yeah.
right? So that
Yeah.
happens all the time. That's a phenomenon, right? I'm making the case that reality itself is like that. So again, it's called algorithmic personalization, right? So your feed is not a fixed reality. It changes based on your action. So your perceptions, emotions, and opportunities reconfigure based on your thoughts, habits, and emotion. This is the idea of karma as a feedback loop rather than fate. So it's
Oh,
kind
this
of
is
weird.
sweet.
This is
This
weird.
is
What you're
sweet.
searching for, and that's why if you're an atheist, if you are like, I kind of had this transformation moment. I call it like Bob Marley has a song called "Drop of Faith," and it's so true. He called it "One Drop." It's called like my transition, like to seeing the world as not just the eight, happened in a moment of faith, because when you realize, okay, maybe I'm wrong that there's no meaning and everything's random. Maybe there is some type of higher order. When you start searching, now you start finding evidence. It's like, and that's how I feel like I attracted you and Jim and all my teachers. Is because I knew that I was searching for it, and it shows up. And there's a
But you
great
didn't make it. What I love about this one is, and I love that you made this the last one too. Is that it's nothing that you effort to do. You're a cause of it, but you didn't do the effort part. The algorithm does the effort and brings it to you,
exactly.
but you are a cause of it. So this is incredible. So
I knew you're gonna
I
love
think
this.
I need some time to think about this. So I tell you what, why don't you summarize
Yes.
the eight for us, and we'll look towards the nine in the next
Yeah.
episode. So give us a summary of the eight, Jason.
Great idea. Great idea. I knew this was gonna blow your mind. But
Yeah.
so so yeah, the summary is that the world you take as solid is a mind generated simulation. And again, if that's too far for you to take, just remember your visual cortex is in the back of your brain. Okay, so everything you see on the outside is being constructed on the inside, processed in a different section of your
And we
brain.
covered that in impermanence.
Yes.
Really, I know a lot of people love that episode of impermanence. So
People,
yes,
people are gonna love this one. I know it. So, including your identity, not just the world outside, even your sense of self. Understand, you are constructing your sense of self, and like you're like you're locking the door and throwing away the key. You are creating this sense of self and forgetting that you created it. You, by definition, by being the creator of yourself, makes you more powerful. That's kind of the message. We're gonna talk about the nine, but my message is you are so much more powerful, so much bigger than
that you can
you
make the
realize.
matrix your friend.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. The matrix is just part of your mind. It's just one part of what you can do. So yeah, identity is a function of mind. Your actions. So this is where it gets. So how do you change it? It's not just like that movie, The Secret. Write down, I want $1 million, and it's going to show up. You have to do the action as if it's there. Justin Roberts talks about resonance. You have to feel it. That's the seven. You have to feel it, but you also so yeah, we're going to talk about that. You have to reprogram yourself in the 5 and 6. You have to feel it, but then you have to finally you have to do the action. If you believe we live in a world of abundance and now you're stealing from someone, it doesn't work that way. It's what
Right.
you do that matters. So emptiness means nothing has a fixed independent essence. Not that it doesn't exist,
Right.
but also everything is responsive, transformable, and interconnected. This is why the Buddhist teaching is liberating, not depressing. The system is flexible. And I'll end it like with this one quote from The Matrix. Morpheus says to Neo, Do you think that's air you're breathing?
I love that
I have
quote.
met people, I've witnessed people who have not needed to eat for months at a time. It's in them. If you realize that this whole thing, everything you think you know about food, and you don't even need to breathe air if you understand this. Right?
Nice. Nice. Well, this has been incredible, Jason. I think this is more than I expected for season 3 as episode 1. So thank you so much. You nailed the matrix. This is the 8 in your model, and next time we're gonna talk about the 9. So thank you, Jason.
Thanks, John, man. Couldn't have done it without you.